the iPad. I have a 3-monitor setup if you count the iPad. But one of the monitors is a cheap $150 portable monitor that just runs off USB power. It's actually kind of cool. And I have that right down here. I don't know if you can see it. The stream crashed? I run off USB power, yes. Stream is back. Okay, good. Gonna go ahead and Twitch is being uncooperative. I almost said the B word. I'm gonna try to swear less on this stream. So every time you hear me swear, clap your hands. With emojis. So I will be aware. If Grum swears it and you know it, clap your hands. If Grum swears it and you know it, clap your hands. If he says the S word or the F word. All right. Waiting for people to get in Twitch here. Testing chat and Twitch.
Turning into a dirty nursery rhyme up in here.
I swear the Twitch smiley emote looks like a smiling skull face. I don't know why that is.
Fade, would you post a link to the Twitch?
I'm gonna tweet this out.
I could buy them. Scoob, every swear it's a catch-up pack. Scoob is just trying to put all the work on me. I see how it is, Scoob. I remember that.
So what are they calling it? They're not calling it an alpha drop for Unreal 5. What are they calling it? Early access? For the Unreal 5 engine. Will Ember switch to UE5? Join us and find out. Is that clickbaity enough, guys? And I will actually post the right Twitch link instead of reversing it this time. I always put Ember before myself, just like real life. Okay, the tweet has gone out. Let's wait for a couple more people to get in here. Welcome to another Chief Chat and Ember stream. Very happy to bring you a new build that'll be up and coming today. You can download the new build probably a couple minutes into the stream. I'll put the link up for everyone who's an eligible backer. Subscribers also get access to earlier builds, so they'll get access to the Glider 1 demo after this stream. This is Glider 2, based a lot on everyone's feedback, and we are going to... We tried to make it a little truer to Firefall, and there's pros and cons with that. If you remember, gliding was so difficult for some people to handle in Firefall that there's actually videos on how not to rage quit Firefall by mastering gliding. So that's a kind of a double-edged sword. So we have some stuff to show you there, and we'll see what happens when you guys give it a shot here with me on stream. So you can join us right here on stream with the demo. That will be available to download in a little while once I show you the basics of what we've done to gliding. And then later on the stream, we are going to be running Unreal 5's early access from a developer's perspective. We are going to be, and we know very little about this, so in some ways, you guys probably know as much as we do, but we will fill you in from our perspective about, are we going to switch to Unreal 5 for Ember? And if so, what does that mean for people? What does that mean for system specs? What does that mean for everything else? Okay. So, how many of you even know about Unreal 5 or have seen movies of the little demo they put out? Show of hands. Little bit. You got it downloaded. Saw the demo. So right now, Ember is not running on Unreal 5. What the glider demo you're going to download is still Unreal 4.6, and we got it as soon as you guys did. We got our access to Unreal Engine 5 yesterday, just like everybody else, and we have not had much sleep. We've been scrambling trying to get the glider demo done, as well as to start looking at Unreal 5, and so you're going to see me actually go through it and try to answer some questions I have about Unreal 5 in here, and to tell you my thoughts about what devs should do about it. All right, so let's go ahead and start the login. You all know my handle by now. So this is Ember running on Unreal 4. Unreal 4. Okay. Now, one thing I want you to note is how simple and plain our terrain is. Okay, we don't do very much fancy stuff. Frame rate is important to us. But we're here to talk about gliding. So I'm going to try to zoom away from everybody that's trying to kill me so I can show you. Someone says our stream seems frozen. How's the frame rate on the stream? Let me know, guys. Stream is fine. Okay. I'm going to try to keep chat up here. Someone says that the game audio is a little loud. So let's pull that down. Let me see where that's happening. Alright, so I'm just going to use our audio slider here, just because I don't trust voice meter. Okay, how's that for audio? A little bit better? Game and title is wrong. What do you mean? Okay, so glider. We have a new glider build for you guys today. Last 2 streams ago, I think we did the glider 1 tuning phases. And you guys said we miss a couple of things. One thing is we miss the fact that in Firefall, when you glide down steeply, you pick up a lot of speed. Some people said that you slow down too much when you level out of a glide. We read all of this on our forums, so thank you for all of you who posted feedback on our forums. We do read it. Somebody said that, okay, audio's still too loud? I mean, I could pull it down a little bit more. It could be that it's just coming in on 2 streams. So if I route this to... Yeah, it's routed to B3. I don't want to mess too much with the audio. Oh, it says I'm playing Phantasy Star 2. Mods, can you please change the title to Ember and Unreal 5?
Yeah, we're working on that. Normally we have Ban do it, and he's not here today, so I have to remember how to do it.
Okay, maybe I don't know if I can do it here from my settings real quick. We'll both look together. How's that?
Sounds good. Just like, what do I click on?
Click on everything. What could go wrong? Yeah, I'm on Stream Manager on the iPad, and I see it. Okay, I got it. Title. Ember gliding and Unreal and UE5. Question mark. Category will be Ember. And we're done. Okay. Title should be updated now.
Yep.
All right, and we're back. Okay. So if the game audio is a little loud, I apologize. It's just the nature of me trying to get this stream up. We've been so busy with Unreal Engine 5, taking a look at that and getting a new glider demo out in the old version of the engine, that we're showing off today. So I just want to point out, for those of you just joining the stream, this is not Unreal Engine 5. All right. Okay. So based on your feedback in the forums, you said you wanted a couple things. You wanted to see acceleration during a dive. You said you wanted more speed when you pull out of a dive, and you said you wanted the stall back in. So and what used to happen in Ember is you'd be gliding along, and then when you stall, meaning you lose enough airspeed that you lose lift on your glider wings, because gliders don't have jets, then you go into jetpack mode. What we did is we added the nosedive back in from Firefall, so you have that and you're able to catch air. So let's see what that looks like. One caveat I want to point out is that we are still ironing out some network changes to gliding. So you might see my wings spaz out a little bit from time to time, especially if I'm turning. But if I'm moving in a straight line, you're not going to see it so much. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this. And by the way, stick around. Two things first before we start. Follow me on Twitch so you get notified when we do these streams. You're going to see more stuff. You're going to be seeing more explorations of Ember in Unreal Engine 5. You're going to be seeing more explorations of Ember's thumping encounter. We have stuff to show for that coming up. We are going to be talking about games in general. My perspective being a longtime developer on games like World of Warcraft, StarCraft, Diablo, and I'm currently taking a look at the state of the MMO industry. I'm looking around to see where it is, because honestly, I stepped away from the genre for a long time, and I'm coming back to it fresh. So if you're interested in any of those topics, please follow us on Twitch so you get those notifications. Also, we do raffles and prizes in our Discord, so if related to Ember. So if you'd like to participate in those raffles today and ongoing, make sure that you join our Discord right now, and the moderators will post the link right to the channel. All right. So let's get some air, because we're going to show gliding. So the first thing I want to show is the stall mechanism. So instead of going to jetpack mode, you get back into stall. I'll show that again. So you always want to pitch your nose a little bit down. Just like in Firefall, you'll want to make sure that you pitch your nose a little bit down. The other thing you guys asked for is more speed, especially when you pick up the glide. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to use the cheese that everybody else uses, where I go into Afterburn, get a lot of altitude here. Okay, and here we go. You guys ready? Gliding in 3, 2, 1, and dive. Oh, and there's camera shake, and the camera pulls back when you go fast. All right, that's a lot of speed on the glide, maybe too much. Let us know when you try it yourselves. So you notice that we have camera shake on speed now, and we've also added and we also added the camera pulling back a little bit, like when you glide. And that was stuff that people who played Firefall kind of said they missed and wanted to try again. Increased FOV does use pickup speed. The FOV doesn't change. We're just pulling the camera back, but when you go into glide, the FOV does change to about 110. So I think you actually get going faster than you ever did in Firefall. Memory's a funny thing, and watching old videos on YouTube, we think we're faster than we are, but with great speed comes great responsibility. We have added a cost to gliding. So you notice that you pick up speed when you enter glide mode. You instantly sort of like jet forward, and you get some sort of air. It used to be on Firefall, you get a glider pad and then you jet. What we're doing here is, watch my fuel bar. So when I go into glide, you notice I consume some fuel, and I can go back into jets again. In Firefall, it was like you couldn't go back into jets, and then I can go back into glide again, and there's a fuel cost. And that fuel cost is actually a percentage of your available fuel. It's always it's always going to cost a certain amount of fuel to go into glide. So that stops you from doing what we used to do in Ember, which was sort of like to jet up, glide, jet, glide, and pretty much glide forever. But at the same time, I think we've got it to a place where usable as fast travel without being abusable as fast travel, and it doesn't limit your ability to sort of transition in these modes when you're in a combat state. Yeah, if you had the ability Ace, you could go back into it, but they nerfed that later, didn't they? All right, so with this in here, I'm going to show you... Well, no, we can't remove the cooldown. The cooldown's really important. They work together. The jet fuel and the cooldown work together to make gliding, I think, reasonable. Now, I can still glide across the map, but what this system does is basically, if you're going to do it for fast travel, you'll want to make sure you have full jetpack fuel. If you have full jetpack fuel, then you're going to be able to get the altitude you need for a long glide. If you are constantly in combat and you're trying to use glide and things like this, you're going to run out of fuel doing that pretty quickly, and it's going to get you onto the ground. And, you know, that's just a way to make it a little less OP. Otherwise, gliding would be, you know, it was pretty much a bit of a cheese before. Now, remember that there is a craftable power system in Ember. And so how much fuel you consume, or if you would like to shunt more power to your gliding systems, you'll be able to do that. And so you can actually, will either reduce the cost when you do that, or will increase your power capacity. What we're calling fuel right now is probably going to transition to the universal power system. For those of you who read the Vision book, these things are like vehicles, and you can divide your power between your offensive capabilities, your movement abilities, and your defensive abilities. And so you're going to see more of a unification of those three things. It won't be separate fuel, separate plasma, separate things. Things will tie in to the master power reservoir. And of course, the bigger your reactor that you have on the frame, the more power you're going to have to divide around. And that's all done with crafting. The amount of resources you get and everything else, that's definitely going to, you know, give you more availability. And a heavier frame is going to have more power too. But of course, they have different movement modes. For those of you who missed it, we do have chat now, you know, with emojis and such, so you can go ahead and chat. We removed the chat lag. That used to be a thing. We forgot one setting on our databases, so, you know, you can talk to each other now. So what I'd like to do now is to add you guys into the build and start gliding around. But but before I do that, the one caveat I want to tell you guys about is you will notice a little bit of network desync if you're turning and stalling and doing this sort of stuff. So some error. Let me see if I can get it to happen. It doesn't happen all the time, which makes it really annoying. But usually if I turn and I go into a stall, okay, it's not happening now, so maybe you won't experience it, but I get it from time to time, and it's very annoying that it's a very annoying bug to track down because it doesn't happen all the time. Well, good that on stream it's happening. It's going well today. Oh, another thing you'll notice is we have tried to increase the swoopiness of the camera, especially if I go into a stall here. See me catch and glide, and that's kind of a cool feeling, that catch and glide feeling. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to go over here and get the build set up for you guys. So in the meantime, I'm going to read chat a little bit. And all right, people are asking questions about the dropship right now is just for it's really just for show. You can see it. It is in mining, so you can see it come and drop off your guys and stuff like that. Restart. No, I'm not going to restart Windows. Thank you. This is a bad time, Windows. We're streaming. Windows collects all your information. Doesn't it know I'm streaming? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and enable this download for everybody, starting with newcomers. No, sorry, M3 backers and newcomers. So bear with me while I do that. You know, while I do that, it's a good time to do some raffles. So if you haven't joined our Discord server yet, please hop on over to our Discord server. And we are going to give away Maven packs, dollar Maven packs. 3 of them in a row while I get these URLs set up. So, Ronan, would you please take over from here and get people set up with that?
All right, y'all. We're about to do some $1 packs. So, let me tell you all a little story. Some time ago, we had something called Milestone 3. That was our 3rd fundraiser for Ember back in the day. Now, so back then we had this idea that we were going to offer stretch goals if you crushed the goals, what we asked for, and you did. The community killed it so fast. Every goal we put out there, you started crushing it. So then we came up with, how about just to get more people to sign up? How about we offer a thing where if you put in just a single $1, you get some of these stretch goals? And that went way better than we thought. You guys went crazy. More and more people crushing the stretch goals. We ended up with just way over our goal. Now, of course, because of that, we kept adding stretch goals. So now we have a zillion stretch goals that you get access to for just a single $1. Okay? And in fact, Faye, if you would, show that graphic. Let people know all the stuff they get for just that $1 pack. Thank you. Now, here's the thing. That was Milestone 3. That's over and done with. You can't get it anymore. Too bad. Deal with it. It's gone. Except for the fact that one of our awesome community members, Maven, had the foresight to buy a ton of these dollar packs so we could give them out to you all later through these here raffles. So that's what we're about to do. We're going to do some raffles, and if you win, you get access to the dollar pack. And see, that's not all. See, all those things that are just, you can't get anymore, that are just for that $1 from Milestone 3. In addition, you could upgrade to get other things that you can only get from Milestone 3. So once you have access to it, the sky's the limit. You have all kind of other cool stuff that you can get. All right, now, because we probably have a few new people, let's go ahead and do a test raffle to make sure that we're all clear on how the rules will work. What you're going to see is Faye there, our community coordinator, the one with the purple name. You're going to see her write a sentence. Underneath that, you'll see a sentence from Emberbot also talking about the raffle. And underneath that, you'll see a notepad with a pencil on it. Emoji. There you go. Thank you, Faye. You're going to want to click on that there emoji to be put into the raffle. That's how it works. Now, don't click it twice because that will take you out, so don't do that. And please remember, do not post while this is up. So, Faye, let's go ahead and run the test raffle to make sure everybody knows what's what.
All right, are you guys ready? On your marks, get set. Click.
All right, while we're doing the test raffle for these dollar packs, go ahead and head over to the download section on my.ember.com if you would like to download the test build, the glider build we're doing right now. And for all of you who are M3 or newcomer backers, you can download the build. For those of you who'd like to become a newcomer backer, you can do so right on the website, and then you can immediately download this build and join the rest of us on stream. We're going to try to get at least a good 30, 35 people in here today, maybe. All gliding around. And we got a winner. Who's the winner?
Andrakos. Am I saying that right? Congratulations, you win Faye. Thanks.
Andrakos, you have won. You have won the thanks of Faye. It is a boon sought by many.
Awesome. Okay, you know what? We're going to do the 3 actual packs now. We're going to do them relatively quickly. So let's do this. Faye, unload.
Alrighty.
If you click on the other emojis, it just means your vote doesn't count. It doesn't nullify the vote if you clicked on the notepad. But don't double click the notepad because it just toggles your vote on and off. CAI, which did you download from M3? It should be GlideTune 2 Client Native. Should be the number 2 in there.
Congrats, Mulvidal.
Mulvidal, you win a dollar pack. Here's what I want you to do. In fact, I'll tell you what to do at the end. Let's go ahead and do the next one, and we'll just say the instructions one last time.
All right, you guys ready for the next one? Here we go.
Now, if you have 0 fuel, you still can deploy gliders. You just won't be able to jet recover after it. I think it's pretty forgiving. I think it's more forgiving than Firefall was. But we are doing a raffle right now. Sorry to distract everyone from that. Or I'll go park. Ooh, maybe I got too much camera shake on there. On speed.
And the winner is Kerrn. Congratulations, Kerrn.
Congratulations.
I agree with Dexon. All right, let's do the last one here.
Okay, ready. Last one.
And congratulations, Panda. You win a $1 pack. Now, those of you who don't know, what you're going to do is you're going to send me a private message right now. If you won, send me a private message right now. Say, hi, I won a $1 pack. Here is my Ember ID. Because I need the Ember ID that you use on myember.com, because that is how you actually get the prize. So please contact me right away. Send that private message. Give me the required info, and we'll make sure that you get what you did, sir. All right, Drums, back to you.
All right, so more of you should be joining us now. I think we have 7 people in here. Definitely test out that gliding. The other thing is we want to hear from you about the gliding feedback. It's hard for me to watch chat here. I do my best while I stream, but please leave feedback in our forums, and the moderators will have a forum link up for you guys for this build pretty soon, right, Ronan? Ronan?
Yes, I'm gonna. I keep muting my mic. But yeah, I'm gonna.
All right. So let's see if we can get some more people in here. We've got 6. And a little bit later on, we will be running the Unreal Engine 5 demo, because I think, yesterday we got the demo, and we got the build like all of you, and we're like, oh my god, this might change everything. And so we spent a lot of time poking around it, most of it downloading it because it's so freaking big. I mean, the demo project is, I think, 100 gigabytes, which is really huge. Hill Versius asks in game chat, will Dash be customizable through crafting? Yeah, well, the idea is that we want you... there's 2 ways to do this, right? One is, think about crafting as fixing the absolute limits of your capacity, your gliding limits, your hard limits on gliding, jetpacking, all that sort of stuff. So what equipment you put in, what mods, they affect sort of like the top end of the performance of your craft, and you have to balance that out with, do I want to, with the rarity of the resources you get and the amount of available power you have in your OmniFrame system. Then, as you're running around the world, what you're going to see us do here is we've talked for a long time, and this is the first time we're actually going to be moving towards a power model for your frame, where you can choose on your mech if you want to give your weapons more power, your mobility more power, or your defenses more power. And you can, in real time, shunt the power to different things. So if I wanted, more gliding capability, or if I wanted more jetting capability, if I want faster speed on my jetpack, you can dump power into those systems, but that's going to weaken your weapon systems, and that's going to weaken your defensive systems. Or let's say you're taking a lot of heavy fire, and you don't care about mobility, you just need to get a couple more shots in. What you might do is take all power away from mobility and shunt it to your weapons and defense. And so there's going to be real-time options for the combat for how you handle this in the system that we're developing. And we've been talking about this for a long time. And for those of you who are OG gamers who remember the old X-Wing versus TIE Fighter games, dividing up your power between these sort of three aspects was part of the gameplay. And that's what I wanted to see in a mech game. And so, you're going to get a much more sense that you're less of a character and more of a mech, and that you're controlling a vehicle, which is really the feeling that we were going for here. Elite Dangerous, I do believe they have a power system too. The assault rifle spread. Kazaki 101 asked, will the assault rifle spread change and be a little tighter? It's actually pretty tight. If you play Destiny, it's pretty tight. If you play Apex Legends, it's very tight. So we've done a lot of stuff to try to improve the feeling of it. I think one thing that throws people off is that the camera kicks up as you shoot. In a lot of games now, they don't move the camera at all. They just leave it locked in. So we might try experimenting with removing the rise of the camera. So it's just, but, as far as the pattern getting tighter, that's going to be up to your crafting ability and the range of the weapon. So when you craft an assault rifle, if you want less spread, you could put that in, right? You could say, hey, I want to put in resources so that my weapon doesn't take up as much. That's something we want you to be able to tune in the advanced crafting system. All over me. I'm going to hop over to the Discord chat here, which I haven't been able to see for a while. There is something that's making the reticule feel jumpier than it is right now. And this is something we just learned about. Harry was doing a lot of testing. It used to be, we had a bug that after gliding, if you took the camera like this and shot, your cursor would move back and forth. Well, we fixed that part. But there's still a problem where, if you look at this, the recoil spread is... guys are not going to let me demo it for you. I have to get someplace where there is no combat. Oh no, there's Zihu everywhere on the map. Okay. So, recoil spread. You can see our decals aren't showing up, but you can see the pattern here. It starts out pretty tight, and then it goes wide. We can control that, and you can control that. You will be able to control that through the crafting system. But you'll notice that the camera kicks up when we do. And we reduced a lot of the camera shake. It used to go all over the place like this, and people really hated it. So we locked off the left and right, and it only goes up and down. But it depends on the weapon you use. There may be some assault type heavy machine guns that kind of sweep side to side, right? And it's kind of a nice feeling for a heavy machine gun. You've seen some games do that. But I think we're going to lock the camera off. But so it used to be that if you did this, the cursor would jump side to side, and it was really making the aim feel terrible. And we fixed that, but we still have an issue that if you are... Now, let's see if I can get this right, because I don't normally play this way. And you have to kind of be doing this either deliberately or it's just your play style. But if I move forward, while I strafe, while I turn my mouse, then you'll see the cursor start to jump around wildly. So you have to be doing all three things for that to happen. So if you happen to play like this, then you get excessive spread here, and it's hard to see without the decals, but the spray just goes everywhere. And so that's one thing we're looking into right now. But you gotta be doing all three things at the same time. You gotta be strafing, you gotta be moving forward or back, and you gotta be spazzing the mouse left and right like this. And then it just goes to shit. So but one thing I had a question for you guys is, right now our recoil pattern, each weapon can have a different recoil pattern. So this one actually fires, I think, up, and either it's biased to the right or left. So as it climbs, let's see. Yeah, it tends to go to the right. And if we had our decals working, you would see that the dot pattern would sort of like start at the middle and go up to one side. What Apex does, and what Counter-Strike does, of course, is they have a very predictable recoil pattern. So you can basically count on the walking trail to be consistent for any given particular weapon, which is kind of a skill thing, you know. And we do like including a skill-based element in Ember. And so one thing I want to know from you guys is, do you want less RNG in your recoil and more fixed? I won't say it's 100% fixed, but less RNG and more fixed, so that you can learn how to compensate for the recoil, and pro players would be able to do that. So the recoil would move from being somewhat random right now, but biased, to being much more predictable in terms of this. Assault rifles do this, you know. Heavy machine guns do that. What is it you'd like to see? Or maybe, you know, because you can sort of craft and make your own weapons, maybe that's something you can influence, is how random it is through crafting of the recoil. Because there's a couple things we want to do. We want to be mech porn, we want to be gun porn, we want to be we want to focus on waifus and husbandos. We'll leave the Rule 34 up to you guys on that. As long as you share, that's the only requirement. Alright, for those of you who are in the build right now, let me know how you're liking the gliding. How's it feeling to you compared to the last stuff? While I take a sip of
I'm here. Has anything changed? Is it working?
It's working, and I'm not getting the bug. The network bug.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
How?
I don't know. I spent the whole beginning of the stream explaining why there would be this behavior, and I can't get it to happen. Someone says...
Just turn while your don't fly. I mean,
are you watching this here? Yeah, I did that.
This is
there we go. Oh, okay, now we got it. I have to stall first and then get into it, then we get the shaking. But then it evens out.
And to get out of it, you sort of have to either land or just fly straight for a while.
Okay. And then I was explaining our little pattern spread issue with the scraping, you know, doing all three things at once. And then people were weighing in on whether they wanted more predictable recoil like Counter-Strike and Apex, or if they wanted to keep it RNG like the way it is now.
Well, there is some, I think, Counter-Strike, there is a slight bit of randomness. Like the general pattern is always the same, but the bullets trace differently.
That's why I said less RNG. I was very specific to say it wouldn't be a fixed pattern. It would just be a highly predictable one. More predictability in the pattern. All right, so checking in on gliding feedback here in chat. Miss says, love the gliding, feels perfect. Oh, if you love CSR, little Lao4 guy, we have a CSR skin coming on the 15th. And let's see. Sai is still having mouse difficulties. So Harry, I wanted you to get with Sai at some point because he's having mouse functionality issues with sensitivity, I think. So I don't know what equipment he's using. There are settings you can open. I believe he's already played with those settings, but that's something we could follow up with you on, Sai, to make sure that we don't have a unique situation or something that we should know about that might be affecting other people. Zingo, have you played with the mouse sensitivity in the build? We have like tons and tons of settings for that. Okay, and it still doesn't fix your problem? Okay, so Zingo and Sai have mouse sensitivity issues.
My mouse wasn't sensitive.
Zoko says he's here for the Bikini Hot Tub stream. That's down the hall to the left. gliding should feel a lot smoother now because of the camera motion we've added. One thing I'd like to know is if some people are getting motion sick from the gliding. And gliding takes a little bit more skill now to use. It's a little more strategic because it does consume fuel in the kick and it does have stall conditions. And when you pick up...
So the slider, there's some commentary on the slider.
Oh, sure.
The mouse sensitivity slider is try to adjust itself to the range you're currently sliding it. But you can put in any number you want. So you don't, if you want to get to a low number like 0.01, right? You don't have to set it to its lowest value 10 times in a row. Enter the value. And it's going to should automatically adjust for this new value that you put in the middle. Yeah, it automatically resizes the range. The point of that is sort of to give you the fine-tuning ability regardless of what your value is. Because if I just fix it between 0 and 5, right? You have some... If your sensitivity is realistically somewhere around the 0.1 value, the slider wouldn't help you much in trying to find it. So that's why it's sort of unorthodox way of auto-adjusting.
So you're suggesting to Sai and Zingo that they type in a value instead?
Well, they're just, you know, getting a reasonable way to input the actual value. If there is some issue beyond that, it's not with inputting the value, but just, you know, how the value actually works in the game. And that's a definition. I don't know what's happening there. But I have had some trouble working with Unreal Engine to wrangle the mouse input settings exactly, right? Because some settings, like distance, right? So I still haven't figured that one out. Which one it was? It was the FOV scaling setting and the mouse moving setting, right? This doesn't save. The Unreal Engine refuses to save. It always reverts to some one of the value it had to previous. At some point it jumps over, at some random points, it just sort of saves and stays there, and then you have trouble to get it back to that other value. And then it randomly reverts, so Unreal Engine is very difficult in these specific variables. So when you want to control them to the user.
All right. So, there's a bunch of Blizzard questions here, and as much as I appreciate you being here for being a WoW fan, because I was team lead on WoW, I don't really have any inside information into Blizzard. The company's completely different people now. Not even the original founders are there anymore. As far as, and I did, help the petition for Classic WoW to come back, but I have no idea what they're doing with the Burning Crusade, except that they're doing some things that people don't like. There's the boosty boys, right? The people who boost, and now there was the cross-realm bug, where I guess you could do cross-realm stuff for a while, and all this sort of stuff, and all the sort of monetization that's going on. I know people aren't happy with that. So I'm not here to comment on WoW, but I will say that we're learning from that, and Ember is not going to treat you that way. And there's a very good reason why public companies have to treat you that way. Because it makes a lot of money. They're not in a position where they can ignore that. Because if they ignore that, and the other companies are doing it, the other companies are going to make more money, and the shareholders are all going to dump more stock and go to them. So it's a kind of a terrible position to be in. Why I prefer private companies, that aren't giant public corporations, because they don't have those sort of pressures. So that's what I'll say about that. I haven't really been following Burning Crusade. Those of you know that I boycotted Blizzard ever since the Free Hong Kong incident in Blitzchung, and I've never gone back to play their games since. And it doesn't really matter, because all my friends and co-workers and former bosses and founders are all gone anyway, so it's not even the same thing. So, I don't want to... I think that the current Blizzard is, obviously someone came in here and said, what do you think of the John Cena thing? I pretty much said it on my Twitter. I said, Taiwan is a country. I was born there. I know firsthand it's its own country. There's some people here who seem to think that it's some sort of renegade faction or something. And it's, you know, you can have your own opinion, but I live there, and I'm Chinese, so I have my opinion. And Taiwan is a country. That's all I'll say about it. And I'll say that it's sad that companies like Blizzard and sports personalities and sports leagues are basically caving into that. And, you know, I've had bad experiences doing business in China, too, with games. I've gone into detail on that, too. But again, you know, I want to keep politics to a minimum here. I want to talk just about Ember and everything else. Okay, so I know you guys need some more time to play around with the glider stuff to give your feedback. So I'm going to let you do that on your own time. So download the build. You can grab the build. We also have a monthly patron program on our site if you want to download one build prior. And we're shooting about a build every 2 weeks, 1 to 2 weeks right now. So it's happening fast as we lead up to a Kickstarter for the game. This is your chance to get in early and help us shape the game. And I'm here to talk about Unreal 5 a little bit today. So I'm going to start to switch over here. But before we do that, I'd like to do a raffle for some people who might be new to Ember. I'd like to do 3 newcomer packs, Ronan. So let's see if we can get 3 newcomer packs in here. And if you are an existing pack holder, remember you can gift these out. So any extra packs you win, you are able to gift out to other people. So Ronan, go ahead, take it away and unmute your mic.
Okay, guys, we're going to do some packs. 3 forerunners, say. That's what we'll do today.
Alright.
And I don't believe we've had any new people since the last round. Is that correct? Or do we need to show the testing?
I don't think so. Anybody that wants to get in here from Twitch, you better hurry and get your buns in here.
Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to show what comes in a Forerunner pack so everybody knows why they should be excited. There it is. That pack is a $34.95 from the founder dropship. That's a unique model, comes with a blue and yellow skin. You get a forum tag letting everybody know that you're a Forerunner, letting people know that you're cool. You get put on our founder's wall that will be shown in the game sometime down the road. You get access to the PDF design book, which, as I've said before, it's cool because you get to see what Grums was thinking early on, and then kind of check and see how the game is coming together. It's actually quite fascinating. You also get access to test builds and the playable mock-up that we'll have for Kickstarter, and then also a final copy of the game when it's ready. So this is what we're raffling for right now. So what the heck, let's go ahead and do the first one. Let's see who gets lucky.
Alrighty. Is everybody ready? Get set. Click.
Get to pet something. Big. It'd be hard to pet it. Besides that, maybe like a fist bump or something you could ask for. Zombie Schnitzel, congratulations. Good job. That's about 10 seconds.
I'm just chatting with people in the game. But looks like we're missing the tongue stuck out emoji, which is very important to me, so the other ones work.
I will exercise my death privilege and remove all the emojis. Just like them.
Aw, Harry. Okay, is everybody ready? Oh. If you're just joining us, you better hurry up and get in the Chief Chat voice channel and get your click ready. All right, is everybody ready? Off kilter, are you on kilter? On your marks, get set, click.
I have this urge to click on the notepad myself every time that I have to. Beastia, congratulations, you win you get a newcomer pack. Deep Gator. Listen, we got one more to do, right?
One more.
Awesome, let's do it.
Are you guys ready? On your marks, get set, click.
Heck no, 1337. Congratulations. Now, all three of you winners, what I want you to do is send me your private message right away. Give me your Ember ID that you use on myember.com. Don't forget to say that you won a Forerunner pack. All right, Grumps, back to you.
All right, so I've been talking with people in the game about how the glider's feeling. One thing that's come up is if you haven't played Firefall, and this is the same issue that came with Firefall, people think that you're a jet, that when you get the wings, because you have a jetpack, that you should be able to just climb, pull the nose up, and climb. But you're not, you're a glider. You always have to maintain a certain speed. And so if you pull up, you will go into, your nose just kicks down and you go into what's called a stall. Now, we're not a real flight sim, we're not trying to do true glider mechanics, but this is a rough approximation of how it works. And there was a little bit of a mental disconnect in Firefall. And if you watch old Firefall glider tutorial videos, they're saying the same things they are right now in chat. Like, hey, this is gliding, not flying. So this is one reason why I was a little hesitant to put stall mechanics into the game. But we have it here now. It does give a kind of really cool swoopy feel to it. And it is controllable. If you play Firefall, you already know how to deal with this. But it is something that is a little harder to explain. How did they do it on Breath of the Wild? On Breath of the Wild, is there even a stall? I don't even know if they have stalls. Fluffy says, glider here feels nicer than on Firefall. Thank you. Although I don't know if it's a bit boring since in Firefall there's a little bit of skill. Performance of the client's really nice. Good. I'm glad people are having good performance. We're about to talk about that next. Because we're going to be talking about Unreal Engine 5. So I think I'm going to do another everyone tweet to let people know we're switching over. Please give us your glider feedback in the forums. Moderators, if you could post the link to the forum thread for this build, I'd highly appreciate it. Again, everything that happened in this Glider Pass 2, we did because of your feedback, and now we're going to do it here. But yeah, I think that, yeah, Zion Smith says there's no stalling in Breath of the Wild 2. But you also can't point your nose up, I'm pretty sure. Right? It's just sort of like you go left and right, that type of thing. Where's Triplication? Triplication will be like, well, actually the flight mechanics are all wrong because he plays flight sims all the time. But I wanted to get his opinion on the stalling. He's probably going to want to do... stalls are used in flight sims for acrobatics a lot of times. You can do things like, I don't know, what do they call them? Immelman turns or any sort of stuff like that. And you can like hard rudder over and you can slide backwards when you get into a vertical stall, all this sort of stuff. So, you know, we talked about adding trick gliding, but I think for now we just want to know if this is working, and we want to fix the bugs with it. All right, I'm going to switch over to Unreal Engine 5 and show you guys what we have been looking at for the past 24 hours. But before I do that, I'm going to send out another tweet about it. I'm going to close out. Excuse me. Hello, everyone. We are showing off Unreal Engine 5 and what it may mean for Ember. Starting now. Sky Comet, were you able to land on someone's back while they were gliding? That's pretty cool. Join us on Twitch. All right, I'll send this tweet out. Meanwhile, I'll just put up some art here. This is our heavy frame. I don't know if you'll get sound for this demo, and I'm not going to try because Voicemeeter's temperamental, and I really don't want to like mess up our sound settings while we're doing this. But what we're here for is the graphics in Unreal Engine 5. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what that's about. See if we can get full desktop going here. All right. This is Unreal Engine 5 in the editor and engine itself. The editors, the development tools for Unreal are actually built with the Unreal Engine. So what you're seeing here is all of Unreal. And you can immediately see we're in a vastly more detailed environment. And Ember is currently running on Unreal version 4.6, but we've kept it pretty vanilla because we knew that updates were coming. We knew Unreal 5 was coming, so it should make migration. It should. The famous last words of developers is should make the migration straightforward or somewhat straightforward to take any game that's currently running on Unreal Engine 4.6 if it's not highly modified and moving it to Unreal 5. So immediately what strikes me is I said this to Harry, is that it feels like I'm looking at one of those 360 panoramas of the Mars rover. You know, that it's like one of those QuickTime movies on the web where you're just looking around like this. And you can see that these assets are all photo scanned. This is from a free library that Unreal bought. It wasn't free before. We actually paid for it, but now it comes free with Unreal, called Quicksole Megascans. And what they did is they went out to locations all around the planet and they photo scanned a whole bunch of assets. And before I go too much into this, I'm just going to play the demo for you guys. All right. Now I actually hit play, but it's taking some time to load. And I apologize, you may not get sound because I don't know if I've got the audio routing set up for that, but sound's not the important part here. Yeah, we are in the editor, so if I hit play, and I'm currently waiting for it to load. You can see, I don't know if you can see, but so yeah, we are actually we've started playing the game. Believe it or not, things are just loading and taking their time. All right, so here we are. And this is actually running in the editor for the game engine right now. And it is, quite frankly, on a level of detail that's probably like, and I won't say an order of magnitude, but several times greater than what I've seen before. And right now I'm running on a 12-core Ryzen CPU. It's not a Threadripper. I think it's like 3.4 gigahertz, but it's 12 cores. And I'm running on a 2070 Super from NVIDIA. And I've also run this on a 6000 series AMD, and it runs very well on a 6000 series AMD. And they recommend, the recommended specs for this are, if you want to run it at like in all its glory, they say you should get a 3080 and you should have 12 cores to do this, which is kind of like an amazingly stiff requirement. But I've actually seen people run this on a 1080 and 1080 Ti, and as long as your window size is, you know, you're not trying to run 4K, and I'm running in basically 4K resolution right now. So that's something else you guys should know. So this is drone mode. You can go up. We started down there by the campfire. We can go down, go in, and you can see where we are on this gigantic map in the upper right. That's actually like their new level editing tools that allow you to multiple people to work on this giant open world at a time. So you can see as I turn around here with the drone, the little orange triangle is rotating, and if I move the drone, yes, there is motion blur. I wasn't able to turn it off for this. I know everyone's gonna be kind of bummed about that. So you can just see the immense level of detail here, and I'm going to show you how they did it. I'm going to show you how they did it a little bit later, but right now I'm just running through the demo. So part of the demo is that you can go into this drone mode and fly around, and you'll notice everything's rocks, and I'll talk about more about why in a second. Why is it rocks? Why is there nothing else here except rocks? And I'm sure somebody wants me to get pretty close to these rocks. So you can see that there's quite a bit of detail here, and polygon-wise. That this is all. There's no height field here. A lot of games use a height map for their terrain. This is all meshes, and I'll show you how they did that in a second. Unfortunately, there's also invisible walls. There's only so far I can go before this probe hits a wall, like right here. I can't go any further than that. Except I just did.
What are the walls? What are the walls made of? Like the invisible walls, can they be deleted, or is it like a...
You can delete them. I've gone in and deleted a lot of them. But they are basically just like rectangles placed in the world, primitive shapes that are turned invisible, basically, so they don't have any rendering. And they do have these invisible walls in a bunch of areas, although I'm running into less of them now. I don't know if this is my version with where I took out the walls, but you can go pretty far. And if you remove the walls, you can go even further. And I think the reason the walls are there are because they haven't finished detailing out this whole area. I mean, you can go pretty far, but they also have separate invisible walls for the characters. So we're not in edit mode right now. This is game mode. We're supposed to be this little sprite drone flying around. And if I hit the X key, then I'm back to the character here. And I'll go ahead and stand up. ASWD, standard move. And you can see right here the character. And you can see what's interesting is that they did go with their metahumans, which is their hyper-realistic characters. This is like, I would say, a more stylized character that they've gone with. And so you can see how a stylized character looks against a photorealistic background. Some people say it's a little jarring. My son says that, it's jarring to see something that's a little bit stylized against such a realistic background. And that's going to be interesting for game developers to decide is how they're going to blend the two. Because on one hand, it's very fast to create assets using megascans like this, and on the other hand, okay, I just hit an invisible wall because they don't want you to go too far away from this waypoint. You can actually walk out there if you remove these, and I have done it before where I've gone in, I've deleted these invisible walls, and the character will walk all the way out there. But they're trying to make this is a very guided experience. So we go up here and we hit interact. Yeah, the world outliner, which is the list on the right side of all the objects in the world, those objects are streaming in and out depending on the player's area around them. There's like, you can imagine a circle around the player, and that's what it's drawing. Now this is interesting because this is the same level, but it has an overlay on it. And this has implications for Ember, because remember, Ember is a game about terraforming. And we had a lot of questions about how we're going to achieve that sort of terraforming step. Obviously, we could switch the textures and reload that. That's one thing. But this is something else. This is actually loading a layer of assets in, either replacing or on top of existing assets without being a full level. Now, this transition was very fast, right? Like, this level load was fast. It's not fast when you first load the game. When you first load the editor, and they say this in a pop-up, it says, this can take several minutes to load the first time you run it. Now, will that be true when the game is compiled and shipped? Because remember, we're running in an editor right now. This is actually what you use to make the game. And the answer is, I don't know. We just don't know that if we compile this to its own project, if the load times would still be very long or if it would be short like this one. But this is essentially the same map, but they've replaced a bunch of assets and resources. Some of them appear to be the same, but different lighting or texture. And let's just go ahead and proceed with this, and then we'll start picking it apart. So you can hold down Shift to walk very, very slowly, or you just sprint. And there are invisible walls here, so I can't fall off the edge of the cliff. Again, this is a very guided experience. But I just want you to look at this lighting. This is their new lighting system called Lumen. And it's just gorgeous. I mean, it's got real-time global illumination going on, soft shadows everywhere. There's no ray tracing in any of this. In fact, one thing, ray tracing might be dead, because Lumen doesn't need ray tracing, and so far it doesn't work with ray tracing. All the ray tracing features are disabled on this. And that's because a lot of what you're seeing, the lighting you're seeing that would normally calculated by doing ray tracing and real-time lighting, is being done by Lumen lighting system now, Unreal's Lumen lighting system. So is there really room for ray tracing when you can get all of this without having a ray tracing card? I don't know. That's a question I have for our Unreal reps and for our NVIDIA reps. It's like, what's the future of ray tracing now doing this? Now, you notice this interesting artifact here when I rotate the character. I'm not sure what's causing that. Maybe it's the new temporal aliasing they have. But you notice there's this blurry thing around my character, a glitch effect whenever I rotate. We're not sure what's causing that yet. That's something to explore. All right. So this is a barrier. I thought this meant that everything was destructible, but it's not. It's just certain items here. But you can just see the amount of detail in these carvings. And this is not a normal map. If it were a normal map, I wouldn't be able to do this. If I went to the side, you see that there's this vertical edge here. That would look flat, but it's not flat. So these are actual polygons in these carvings that you're seeing. And normally what games do is they fake that with a texture map that has what's called normals baked into it, which sort of trick the light into shading it so that it looks three-dimensional, but it's really not. So again, I want to point out that one big difference is that workflows are going to change. We are in a environment where this is all polygons. All right, so what you're going to see here is I'm going to vault over this object. You've seen this in games before. You go over the object and she jumps, right? And I can probably do it again. Now, normally when you do this in a game, these are always the same height because the animation is sort of canned, it's repeatable, so we can't jump over a wall that's higher or lower. But this one here is higher. Let's see what happens. Now you might think maybe they just did a separate animation for that, but actually no. If you look at their dev blogs and dev diaries on it, this is using their advanced inverse kinematic system, which is a fancy way of saying it, where they're calculating where to position your arms and legs so that you match the geometry that you're vaulting over or walking on. You see it in walking all the time. So they can now do this for, I assume, any character that's rigged this way with their control system in the engine, which is kind of neat because it saves a lot of time when you only have to do one animation instead of multiple height animations for this. All right. This lighting just kills me. Now these clouds, they're not fully procedural. I thought that they were procedural, but if you open it up, there's actually different layers. I think there's an HDRI skybox. I haven't found any volumetric clouds yet, which is going to be interesting for games like flight simulators. Unreal can do volumetric clouds, but I don't see any in this demo so far, except maybe that fog out there and the fog down here, of course, this stuff. This might just be Niagara, which is their particle system. We're not entirely sure yet. Again, we just got this. We haven't had a lot of time to pick it apart because we've been working on the glider demo. I'll just run through this here. All right. So everybody knows what this is, right? Boss encounter. It's just the classic gaming boss encounter. How do I know? I can't go back. When you enter a boss area, everybody knows that you can't go back, right? So this is an invisible wall that you pass through once. No matter, I've got this fancy IK system that lets me climb and vault over surfaces, but no, this is the boss encounter. So here we go. You guys ready? Cutscene time. This is all animated in engine. They didn't animate this in Maya or 3ds Max or Blender. They just did it all in engine, which has huge implications for faster workflows, right? Oh, my frame rate. I do not have the recommended 64 gigs of RAM for this. A little slow, buddy. I'm only running 32. Why does it take so much memory? Good question. One thing they are doing is they're using that IK system. Remember how I told you it calculates where the hand should go, where the leg should go? They're also using it for the firing animation. So, you know, they don't have to have like a separate lens space animation for each of the arm positions. That arm is tracking in real time the rotation there. Obviously, this is great for Ember when we do kaiju and beam weapons, Godzilla. That sort of stuff is a nice to have, right? Nothing too complicated here. And I can't die. Like, basically, she just auto rolls out of the way. We're officially on game journalist mode, folks. Okay.
They prefer to call it narrative.
And your shots are actually auto-guided, so you can't mess up the demo. This is totally game journalist mode. You can't die. So just hands off controls. There she goes. Auto rolls out. You know we do this on purpose as game devs. We actually make it easier to control this now. I mean, we did it even back then. During the Blizzard days, we actually decreased the depth of input for some of our private demos for game journalists. And it's not because they sucked back then, it's because of time. You know, we're trying to get through a lot of content. Now what's interesting was when I have a machine with 64 gigs of RAM, I don't get these slowdowns that you're seeing right now. Alright, so basically to kill him you gotta like hit the middle, stun him, and then go ahead and hit the every obvious bit is glowing so you know what to attack. Alright. And we've killed the boss. And his collision box is really big, so I can't get any closer than that. But again, these are not normal maps. These are polygons on his etchings. And you can see how slow the engine is getting right around here. Why does this demo take 100 gigs to download? We've got one level plus an overlay, one character, and one giant boss monster. And it's 100 gigabytes for this. And we're not quite sure why. About half of it is the assets, the mega scans and everything else. Then there's a lot of textures. This one monster is made up of 16... Wait, is it 16? I think our artist said it was like 16 4K textures, which is huge. You know, most textures in games you can expect to be 1024 or 512 or even 256 for small objects. This guy, they now support having, and he's I think the maximum Unreal used to support was 8K in 4.6, but here we have, you know, 16 4K textures all on one big map, which is new for Unreal. It used to be that you'd have to cut that up into what's called multiple UV areas, UV unwrapping, but this is one UDIM, which is a way of saying it's one giant map that combines all the texture coordinates together. Basically, you can cram more textures in and do everything in one draw call. So there's only one material on him, but I mean, you can just look at this detail. It's just, can you imagine if we did mechs like this? So the potential, I mean, when you look at stuff like, all right, so when we saw this, we were like blown away. It's like, wow, this is really cool. And, but there's some trade-offs here. Why is it 100 gigabytes just for this limited play area? And why do I need 64 gigabytes of RAM to run this efficiently? I'm running on 32 now. It's definitely possible in 32, but it's taking up a lot of memory. And one obvious answer is that when you have that many more triangles in the world, you need more memory to hold it in. And if you're going to be running a lot of textures in the world, you're going to need more graphics memory to hold it in. So, on the card itself. So, while you can run this currently on a 1080, and this is designed to run on a PlayStation 5, remember this is a tech demo. And not everything you see here may be possible in a shipping version of an Unreal 5 game. Like maybe if you have a hero boss, maybe only the hero boss is going to be made up of, you know, all these polygons. And the rest of the terrain might be a more simplified height field, with some hero meshes and cliff pieces and objects being what they call Nanite Mesh. So there's two types of meshes that they're currently supporting in Unreal 5. You can have, and I'm trying to simplify this as much as possible for gamers out there who are not game developers. You can have a mesh which is a LOD mesh. You know, you've seen that before, where it's a certain number of polygons close up, and then the farther away it gets, it like drops down, and it looks blockier and squarer and things like that. And developers rather hand generate those levels of detail, LOD, or they will let Unreal calculate it on the fly. The new thing in Unreal 5 is what's called the let me put my camera back up so you can actually see that. Is called Nanite Meshes, and they can coexist at the same time. Let me move this layer up. They can coexist at the same time with your regular LOD meshes. So you are able to sort of like mix these together any way you see fit. And again, it's really early. We can't say what's going to happen here, but if you don't want to require your users to have 32 or 64 gigs of RAM or a 1080, you have the ability to say only some of this stuff is going to be super detailed, and the rest of it we're going to sort of, you know, have less detail because it's less important to the world. So you can sort of mix these two. One thing that's very obviously a benefit here that is at very low cost compared to something like ray tracing is the lighting. You're getting real-time global illumination here, and a much better form of anti-aliasing. you're getting something here that looks like ray tracing minus the reflections, but really isn't. You're getting the soft lighting, the soft shadows, all that sort of stuff. And again, I'll show you this stuff's real time. We are in the editor right now. If I just hit escape, we'll go back to the original level, which isn't overlaid. All right, so how is all this put together? These, in most games, starting way back, even back to the World of Warcraft days, terrain and environments were done with what's called a height field. You had a mesh of squares, and you could sort of like push and pull on this mesh only up or down. You couldn't go sideways. So you could have hills, you could have steep mountains, but you could never have an overhang, and you could never pull detail out sideways like you do here, right? See this, how this sort of like hangs out over here? Now these are real polys. How can you tell this is not a normal map? Well, you can look at the edge. Look at the edge of this where it's up and down on this area here, and you can tell that those are polygonal details. I can also show you just by clicking on it, and you can see that this is in fact a mesh they just stuck into the ground. Whoop. And you can see that it's not even complete, really. It's only built on, and because it's a scanned assets from, you know, somebody went out to a mountain with a camera and took a whole bunch of pictures and used software to process this into a 3D model. And so you can see that it's got holes. And how do they hide those holes? Basically, look, there's a hole here too, right? Because this thing is only, you know, that's what it looks like. So they took thousands of these meshes, and there's a library of like, you know, 32 of them, and they just like sink them into the ground to hide them, and then they sort of like move them into place. And this process, unfortunately, is done by hand. Right now, there's no algorithm driving this. Some level artists had to go through and basically pull in every individual mesh. And this whole floor, this entire open world, is just made up of these tiny, tiny meshes. You can see these little yellow outlines. And I'll start pulling them apart here so you can see. You know, I can just start like completely showing you how many meshes it takes to do this. Now, normally in Unreal 4, this would be difficult to render because it's expensive to draw thousands of individual meshes like this. But Unreal 5 has an optimized form of instancing where they're able to take, as long as it's the same mesh, and these meshes get repeated. You'll see repeat elements of this everywhere. You'll see that, no, they're not even combining them. Basically, if I go to, there's a special view here where I can go to Nanite visualization. These are Nanite meshes. Nanite meshes are treated very differently from regular LOD meshes. And if I do instances, you can see how many meshes there are here. Every color, well, not every color, but you can see that it's just a huge, huge patchwork of this stuff. This is a very time-consuming way to make a level. So if someone's going to build a level this way, people are going to have to develop tools to do this. And there are tools that can do procedural modeling, things like Houdini, which might make this possible. But you can just see how crazy this is. Well, Unreal 5 has a very efficient way of saying if these two meshes are the same, I don't know for sure, but I think that if, you know, these, you know, two green ones might be the same type of mesh, then it'll batch them up and render them in one go, or it'll save a lot of rendering steps between. I'm not a graphics programmer. I don't pretend to understand this part of it, but I just wanted to show you how this terrain was made. I think it's very, very interesting that all it is these scans that they've pulled in. So here's what you're going to see. Thanks to the Unreal 5 Alpha, you are going to see a lot of game demos that look very graphically impressive because this is not hard to do. These are publicly available assets for free that come with the engine, and there's a huge library of them. And now with this engine, the barrier to entry for making a level like this has dropped because you don't have to do any sort of special thing or have artistic compromise as long as you're running on a fast machine and you're just going to show a video of your hypothetical game. You can literally grab assets from there's a built-in way to do this. I don't know. I haven't actually added it, but they actually integrated it in the editor. So you'll see a ton of assets that you can pull in and just slap all these mega scans down, which is what they call them. And then people are going to go, oh my gosh, did you see this game? It looks fantastic. And they're not going to realize that it's all not even store assets, free assets, high quality ones. And it's the power of the Unreal Engine that makes it very easy to create terrain like this. Now, just because it's easy to create doesn't mean it draws fast. I'm not getting great performance here. I'm on a very beefy system. There are beefier systems out there. I'm running on a 2070, a 12-core Ryzen. But the frame rate, especially when I'm playing the game, is not good enough. Certainly not good enough to do a full terrain system like this for a shipping game yet. Now, this is something they could very well optimize, right? This is something that could get much better in the future. But right now, in this very early pre-release, this is not an optimal way to build your terrain. Now, again, Unreal typically has showpiece demo levels in their engine that they don't expect anyone to ship. It's just a sort of like a what if you did this, how good could it look type of thing. You're going to see a combination because you can, in this engine, blend the old way of doing things with the new way of doing things. These things are Nanite Meshes. You can combine them with traditional height field terrains, and you could do that. You could get a very respectable envelope of performance. And so for Ember, if we were to do this, if we were to go to Nanite Meshes on terrain, it wouldn't be all Nanite Meshes, because I think that would just tank performance with what we know right now. Things could change, things could improve, maybe there's, but we also don't want to require ridiculous amounts of memory, which currently it seems like Unreal Engine 5 requires to pull off this level of visual fidelity. That does not mean that the shipping version of the engine is going to be like this. I just want to put that out there. They are planning for this to run on Xbox Series S. They're planning on having this run on PlayStation 5, and to do that, they're going to have to get the memory footprint way down. How they do that is very interesting. So how many polygons are we looking at? Well, if we're looking at the whole scene, you're literally looking at millions and millions of polygons. But I can't actually show you because they don't let you see wireframe mode, which is how you see the triangles in the game. And we're not sure why. It could just be because the way that the renderer works, wireframes don't apply when you're talking about micro polygonal rendering of these high poly meshes, which is a different rendering technique. And but I can show you the individual pieces. So if I go to, so one interesting thing is I'll open one of these pieces up. So this is a mega scan. This is a free asset amongst many, many, many free assets that Epic has made for free in Unreal. So you're going to see a lot of these. You're going to see so many one-person games and crowdfunding and things like that look gorgeous because people are just going to run out. I'm telling you, there's going to be a deluge of this. People are just going to run out, grab all the free assets, slap them all down, make a video, put it on Kickstarter, and there you go. And regardless of whether there's a game or not, or regardless of whatever care for performance there is. So you can expect that the visual quality of, these one-person projects and stuff to go up because it's very easy to do this now. And the engine lets you do it. As long as they've got a beefy system, they could do a nice video, or they could just pump out a cinematic from Unreal and render it out, and you'd never know. You'd never know. And most people don't know what assets are in the Quicksole Megascan library, so they'll never be able to tell it's an asset. So look, this is a lot of detail. Every bump, everything like that, you can see that there's a triangle behind it. Again, there's no wireframe mode. If I actually go into wireframe, I don't see it. The object disappears. You just see the sphereness. And when I first saw this, I'm like, hey, there's something fishy going on. Why can't I see this asset should be about 20,000 polygons? Why can't I see the wireframe? Are they trying to hide something? And I don't think they are. On second view, I don't think they are. I think it's really just the way the renderer works. It's doing something where the polygons are irrelevant. In fact, if you look at what it says there's 2,000 triangles. But I'll tell you for sure that it's not 2,000 triangles. Because I've actually pulled in an asset that's 38,000 triangles. And it says it's 2,000 triangles once you process it into a nanite mesh. Look, this says, if you look up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines down, it says triangles 2,000. This one, 1,999. This one, 2,000. This one, 1,999. I can tell you for sure that these are much higher than that. We're not getting an accurate triangle count here, 2,235. This is some sort of equivalent triangle weight after you go through the nanite process. Because when you pull a mesh in, it doesn't start off as a nanite mesh. And I can show you that right now. So, you know, I pulled in this mesh, and it says it's 2,000, but I'll go ahead and delete it. And one thing I like is the UI. This UI is so much nicer than Unreal 2.6. It's just a lot more convenient. So, so I actually went to Quicksole Megascans, and I'm not using Bridge because I wanted to see exactly what the software was doing. So I wouldn't have to normally go download a Megascan asset and put it into the engine. I could just use the built-in pipeline, and it does everything for me, texturing it and everything else. But I wanted to see exactly what it was doing. So I'm just going to show you an asset here. Excuse me. And this is just a regular FBX. So this is a Megascan asset without the textures, right? This is what it looks like for a cliff face that they went out and did. And if I turn on stats, you can see the triangles, right? You can see you've got 38,569 triangles just for this piece. That's a lot of polygons, ladies and gentlemen. So, you know, I'm going to go ahead and take this 38,000 polygon asset, and I'm going to import it into Unreal. Yeah, there's no smoothing groups, that we don't care. All right. So now if I mouse over, you see that the polygon count matches. It is 38,567 triangles. And when I open it up, okay. Now remember the way this looks, how lumpy this looks, the level of detail, because I'm about to turn it into a nanite mesh. And when I do that, I want you to see that nothing changes. You still have this level of detail. But I'm going to go ahead, close this out, and then I think what I do is I just right-click on it, and I go Nanite, Enable Nanite Rendering. And it does some processing down here. It's building mesh distance fields, all this sort of stuff, the magic of micropolygons. And now when I mouse over it, and I open it up, 2,000 polygons. Again, this is not 2,000 polygons. It looks the same. It looks like all 38,000 polygons are still there, but it's now only reading 2,000. So this reading's probably inaccurate, but you can see that, you know, every detail is preserved here. There's nothing missing. Now this is without textures, obviously. So this is pretty neat, but it also takes a lot of memory. So if you have a ton of these meshes in your game, and this level is built with, they have a level here that they have a level called the Zoo, which shows you what assets are used here. So if I load this up, I'm not going to save it. That's it. These are the meshes used in the world. And you can see I'm already chugging here. So they built the entire world with just these meshes. And these are all photo scanned assets. And anybody in the world, any one person can go open Unreal 5 now, download a bunch of these assets and slap them together. It's a very time-consuming process because I literally have to do things like, because there's no back to these, right? Oh, this one has a little bit of a back, but not much. You can see, because it's a photo scan, this is all you're going to get. So if I want to create a plateau, I'm going to have to like actually select that, and then I'm going to have to make a copy of it, and then I'm going to have to like rotate it and try to like, obviously this is not this is a quick demo, but okay, no more hole, right? And if I deselect it, you'll see that the lighting is pretty seamless across. And now I've got my plateau. But can you imagine doing this for miles and miles and miles of terrain? You can see that. Okay, I just did that, and that's what they did. That's what they did to make this level, is they jammed together all of these meshes, and then they added detail on top. They're like, okay, so we got that, but we want to add some rubble on top, so let's go over to our rubble collection over here, and let's pick up a piece of rubble here, and make a copy of it. Okay, we got a copy of it, and I'm going to back up here, and obviously there's more efficient ways to do this, but it's still slow. And it's like, okay, I need a little more detail over here. So let's go ahead and do that. And boom. Okay, I got my rock. Now, oh wait, but it's floating a little bit. So what if I rotate it? There we go. Okay, I got my rock. All right. Thanks, Joe Level Designer. Do that another 100,000 times. Now, obviously, this won't be the way it gets done. I suspect you're gonna see a lot of procedural tools being developed in order to build levels this way. This can't be done by hand every single time, because look at how finicky it is. It's like, because it's a flat piece of a photo scan, it's not going to fit everywhere, and I'm going to have to spend all this time sort of auto-rotating it. So if they want people to build levels this way, they're going to have to give us better tools. They're going to have to give us procedural tools for building this, which I'm sure they will. But imagine doing that for that entire level that we just saw, right? And oh, look, I'm running more smoothly now. I wonder if it had to like load stuff. I don't know if there's a loading bar. But yeah, these cliffs, the way they're made, and games do this now. But they use a combination. They combine what's called a height field, which we talked about with, and then if they want a sheer cliff, then they have sheer cliff pieces that they do. So, oops, wrong key. So maybe you want to extend this cliff face. You do something like that. And then, oh, look, it works well with this piece too. So now my character's standing here on a little ledge. And you can see how quite easily, using these scanned assets, you could put together something that looks really good. And then with the lighting, it's all Lumen, right? Lumen is, that's amazing. So the lighting system in this game is completely real time. A lot of games pre-bake their lighting. They have to pre-calculate it's a set time of day, especially, or if it's an interior. But this is all, the lighting is calculated in real time, and I'll show you that in a second here. I'll go ahead and pull up Ancient World again. We're not going to save the zoo. So expect to see a glut of gorgeous-looking rocky terrain coming out on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram, as people play around with Unreal and all the free assets you get to make virtually any rocky terrain you want. What doesn't work so well in Unreal 5 yet is foliage, things like trees or lots of grass. Apparently, some developers have tried it, and it doesn't handle that too well. It doesn't handle alpha or transparency too well, but that's probably just a temporary thing. Obviously, you can't ship a game if you can't have trees in it. I'm sure that's something they're going to work on, but right now it doesn't work, and that's why you see the demo is limited to just rocky terrain. So is Unreal 5 a whole new engine? No, it's not. What you have is really like 4.6++. You're taking the regular Unreal Engine and you're not rewriting it from scratch. You're giving it a new UI, and you're adding a couple of specific features. What are those features? Well, the most prominent features are Nanite Meshes, which is what you see here. But you can still have the old usual meshes with it. You don't have to use Nanite. You don't, and because of that, the Unreal 5 does not inherently run slower than Unreal 4.6. If Ember were to migrate to Unreal 5 tomorrow, I'm guessing, because we haven't done it yet, I'm guessing as long as we don't use Nanite Meshes, that the performance is going to be pretty much the same, that nothing will change. What it does let us do, potentially, is to do more with our hero bosses. Now we can, or our mechs, to make them more detailed, possibly. But this will require a lot more testing for us to discover. We've only had this for like a day, right? Just like everybody else. But the other main feature they added, besides the Nanite Meshes, was the Lumen lighting system, which is really fantastic. It lets you have this sort of ray trace quality to your world without ray tracing. You don't need an RTX card to do this. Is that lighting model more expensive? I couldn't tell you right now. We'd have to port our stuff over and compare the performance envelope, but I suspect it's actually not that much of a performance hit. I think it's just a complete redo of, or rather a separate lighting path that they've added here. So just to show you everything is real time here, I'm going to hit Control L here, which is their little lighting doohickey, and I can go ahead and change the night of day. The day-night cycle, I can rotate the light. You can see that this is all real time, and it's gorgeous. I would like to see this in Ember. I suspect it's not a performance hit just to have this extra lighting, and this is something that you're going to see us experiment with. But this is just so beautiful, this lighting. Now, will it work with our trees? We'll find out. You aren't going to see us ship a demo with Unreal 5 yet. It is not yet production ready. If we do experiments in Unreal 5, we will share them with you as we go along, but all builds will be continued to be made in 4.6. But we're also not tying our hands. We're not doing things that customize our engine so much that it would make switching to Unreal 5 impossible or difficult to do. So you want true night and darkness, just like in original Firefall? You can do that. I mean, this is just their HDR scheme. You can make it pitch black if you wanted to. I mean, look, you can get pretty dark here.
That's 4.26, everybody. Just a misnomer.
Sorry, 4.26. I've been saying 4.6 the whole time. But I didn't swear. So, yeah. So let's see. What else can I show you? I can fly around the world, and I don't know why there's a big gap here. I think, yeah, I'm not sure why that is. Obviously, when we're in the game, it's all continuous. Maybe I have to load these level assets in off the grid somehow. We haven't really fooled around with this too much. But yeah, you're going to see a lot. You're going to see so many demos that just look so gorgeous in Unreal 5, and everyone's going to eat it up. Everyone's going to think that this is what all games will look like from now on. And you can go into Unreal 5 today. You can download this today, open up their Megascan library, and as long as you have a lot of patience right now, because you don't have procedural tools to do this, you could slap together a demo like this pretty easily and have a character walking around on it. You can grab one of Unreal's Paragon characters and start walking around. So just be wary, boys and girls, that making terrain like this just got a whole lot easier. So always go by the gameplay. That's my motto. All right, so I think that's what I wanted to show you guys. I'm going to go switch over to Discord chat here because you're probably more active in there. And I want to hear, like, what do you guys think so far? Any questions about Unreal 5? Remember that, yeah, it's beautiful, Jedi. And Zingo says, I don't know, Jiggles is still 100% more important than terrain. Yes, we know you're here for the waifus. It seems unoptimized. It's actually incredibly optimized for what it's doing. The question is it worth it? Is it worth it? Especially for a game like ours that has to do a lot of characters on screen. I think that, the lighting is worth it. if we can get the lighting and the performance envelope is about the same, and we don't have to do ray tracing to, or I guess reflections might still need ray tracing. I don't know if Lumen does reflections without ray tracing. But right now you can't even activate ray tracing with this. I don't know what will break. We are actually going to try to migrate. So we are going to migrate Ember to Unreal 5 on a test-only basis. Faye says that Igenikos asks, what impact would it have for people using older, less powerful systems if you used UE5 compared to the current engine? Probably none, because this is not a new engine. This is additional features put on top of a reskinned UE4 engine. I suspect the performance envelope is the same if you're not using Nanite Meshes. Maybe Lumen has an impact. I'm not sure. It doesn't seem... I suspect that that's not where the compute power is going as much. I think it's pretty optimized. Darker says, honestly, I prefer more stylized terrain. This level of detail is just visual bombardment. Yeah, I think that if you have stylized characters like we saw in the demo here, and this terrain, I'll hit play again, then I think, you have a visual clash. But you're going to see a lot of people get suckered in by this. A lot of people are going to just look at this terrain and go, oh my gosh, and not take it apart like we did, not understand what's going on behind the scenes. And that's unfortunate because, it's going to go from this to an actual shippable game, there's still a ways to go. Like, even if you're shipping only on high-end systems. So, Nanite Mesh Navels, yeah. Watch, Star Citizen says, we're switching to Unreal 5. Sai says, would you be willing to lose frame rate to go for naval detail? I can neither confirm or deny that. We all have our proclivities. So, you're going to see us do Unreal 5 experiments. You're going to see us try to migrate, to see how easy it is or how hard it is to migrate our stuff over to Unreal 5. Are we going to switch to Unreal 5? Most likely yes, because I don't see anything here that says you have to use the Unreal 5 features. You're not locked into using Lumen. You're not locked into using Nanite Meshes. So why don't we take advantage of their optimizations and everything else that they're doing for the engine in general and switch over? But we don't know how difficult that's going to be yet. So that's something that we'd like to check out. None of this terrain is destructible, Tomix. None of this terrain is destructible. In the demo that you saw, only certain meshes which were pre-fractured were destructible. And so nothing about Unreal 5 says that this terrain is any more dynamic than regular terrain. But the lighting is all real time. Some games bake their lighting in. Open world tends to have dynamic lighting, but this blurring around the character kind of worries me. I don't know if it's an artifact of the motion blur or their new temporal aliasing, anti-aliasing system. But that's kind of annoying and distracting. You want to see what the blueprints look like? I actually haven't... I'm so much on the visual aspect. I haven't opened any blueprints, but let's see what we got here. Well, we know that this gate entity would be a simple blueprint, right? So let's open that up. UI manager. Why is the UI manager there? Is there a level? Oh, gosh, this UI. I don't know it at all, ladies and gentlemen. And besides, I'm not the programmer.
Yes, click the edit BP_dark world rift over there in the item outliner.
Oh, I opened the campfire anyways. Blueprints look the same. I don't know what they changed here.
You see variable type, for example, and one immediate change that you can see.
On the pins or?
On the left side in the variable list. Before
okay.
it was just like a color. So you could tell apart primitives, but you can tell apart objects. Well, some like player controller and actor have special, but generally everything else.
So I heard that they're adding a scripting language to Unreal called Verse. Has anyone heard about this? Is it in the current alpha of the engine? Does anybody know? It's called Verse, and apparently they used to have a scripting language, and they went to full blueprints. So we use a combination of these blueprints, which is hooking logic together from these events, and we use some C++ with that. So there's a lot of C++ that goes along with that. When you saw the Unreal 5 demo, the first thing I thought was Ember. Yeah, because their terrain is sort of like the super high definition version of what we have now, right? Like if it were like 10 years apart.
There was a question asked about potential VR for the heavy frame cockpit.
That's difficult. If we did VR, we have to support, like, what is it? 200 frames a second rendering? We're not even there yet. So, and there's a lot of limitations too with VR rendering. So I would say right now, no current plans. Is it something that we should look at? I think so. I would like to get a VR headset and see where the state of things are now. Back when I tried it as original Oculus backer, it was really cool, but the motion sickness was way too much. In a mech, you won't have that motion sickness in a heavy because you'd have a cockpit frame ostensibly in the UI, which helps ground you in VR. But man, going VR on a game that supports this many players in giant battles, that's really tough to do with the number of players that you have on there, unless we like really, really dumb down the graphics. So I don't know if we
the
can...
moment you jump out of the mech, you're gonna throw up, and I'm not eating that lawsuit.
I'm not eating that throw up either. One thing that's interesting here is the texture resolution is low. And I don't see that they use the normal maps from Quicksole Megascans. You see how it's kind of soft and lumpy, even when you're close up? I'm pretty sure that's because this particular rock, they didn't use the normal maps for it. They're just using the raw polygonal geometry and the color of the rock. And everything looks kind of blurry. It doesn't look... It does no improvement for textures, like when you get in close. The only thing that looked sharp was that boss character, but that boss character was 16 4K textures. So it was just insane. But the rocks, they chose to leave blurry. Probably because it's an environmental piece, right? You see it mostly at a distance. You don't need that much texture resolution. So if we do VR for mechs, yeah, what are you going to do when you hop out of the mech? Who looks at the rocks anyways? Like this one's sharper. This diffuse looks sharper. Some of them are sharp, some of them are blurry. It's interesting.
So you tried building it out? What happens?
I haven't tried a full
Like building a shipping build.
Oh, a shipping build? I haven't tried that. I'm not going to try it on stream. Take all the cores down, and coding will tank. Or maybe not, since it's NVENC, but, yeah, I haven't tried building it yet. But, that'd be a good test. We should try. So, like I said, we have been pretty much round the clock looking at this while working on the glider build. It's just been Unreal 5 and glider build. That's all we've been doing. And we're going to keep looking at Unreal 5 here and doing some experiments with them. Again, nothing that we're going to release to the public. But if we have renders or little movies and stuff, we will show you what we're doing, and we will tell you our conclusions. But the bottom line is, will Ember use Unreal Engine 5? The answer is yes, but we may not use the advanced features of Unreal 5. We may not use Nanite Meshes. We may not even use Lumen because we want to keep performance high. And the reason why we think we can do that is because this is basically still Unreal version 4.26. See, Ronan, I got it right this time. And with some extra features slapped onto it. So the big question for us is, what is this going to cost in terms of performance, and what can we use the lighting model? Can we use Nanite? Can we use some of the animation features? Can we use all the stuff that's been added on to this engine selectively, so we don't have to go all the way to sort of this mesh-based approach for everything, which honestly, this would be so laborious to build out without procedural tools. And I don't even know how you do procedural tools. It's because each of these have like each of these meshes has holes in them. You know, to do this procedurally, you'd have to be aware of the edges, of where the open manifolds are, and the 3D geometry. It would be something that a team like Unreal would have to tackle, or Houdini, or something else. And I'm sure somebody will. But until then, building an entire world this way, I'll tell you from a game developer's perspective, not yet practical. Not yet practical to do this without procedural tools, without some sort of helper to do it. So you can expect us to eventually transfer over to this, because if we want bug fixes and support, it's going to be Unreal 5 from here on out. And but we may not use these advanced features. And I'm very happy that these seem to be optional features, that you do not have to enable all of this. In fact, Lumen, the lighting system, has to be enabled. I think it's a separate render path. So we can take advantage of some of the other stuff they're doing, like the advanced IK stuff would be very good for our kaiju. That won't cost a lot to do. There's some new sound engine stuff that we're looking at. We don't know if we're going to do that yet. That's the other thing, too, is that not all of our tools support Unreal 5 yet. Things like Wise, our sound engine, doesn't support Unreal 5 yet that we know of. We haven't looked at that. No, Toshi, not crowd-funded mesh placing. Crowd mesh placing. You ever hear of Mechanical Turk on Amazon? We'll ship a level editor and everyone places one mesh. I'm sure it'll make a fantastic level. Or fix our meshes. We'll ship a build where the meshes are all there, and it's like, okay, if you see a gap, you can move it, and everyone has to like move a mesh to help finish the game. All right, everybody, it is the top of the hour, 12:57. We try to keep these streams to about 2 hours. So I would like to end with another raffle. This time, I would like to do a ketchup pack raffle, which is one of our skins. And Sakiji says they already solved the mesh placement, kind of like with their mega assemblies. Yeah, you can kit bash pieces together. So you can, and they probably did that, like off in the distance here. Once you've got enough pieces together, you could group them, and then you could group them into larger and larger clumps and do it together. That helps, but you still got to make it all playable. You guys still got to test it for gameplay. And the more you do that, I just think this gets complicated. And is it worth the trade-off? Is it worth having to have these... Let's say they solve the memory issue. Let's say you don't need 64 gigabytes of RAM to do this. They do some sort of magic. It runs on a PS3, and they squash it down so it fits into 16 gigs of RAM, plus the operating system. The download size is still going to be tremendously large. This is 100 gigabytes for... You saw the zoo. This whole open terrain is made with, what, 50 meshes or so? Something like that? What we saw? And that was 100 gigs for this level, plus one other level, which is really a layer on top, plus a boss monster. Is that worth it? How many hundreds of gigabytes are you going to need? They've got to solve that problem, too, before this becomes practical, I think. All right, let's go ahead and do that raffle, Ronan, for Ketchup Pack.
All right, we're going to do a Ketchup Pack. For those who don't know, every month there's a skin that you can get by being one of our patrons. And so what we're going to do right now is we're going to give you the opportunity to win a raffle that will give you all of the skins that we've had from the beginning up to last month. So you get every skin except for the most recent skin, just from winning this raffle. Now, Faye, do we have any new people? Do we need a test, or can we go right into it?
I think we're good to go.
Okay, awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and show them the big graph of all the skins, of all of our sexy waifus, our badass husbandos, our super cool mechs and weapons, all the cool skins that you can get.
Alrighty. check this bad boy out. It's really huge, so you're going to need to click on it and open it in your browser.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Behold all of the skins. They're all very good. Darla is the best. Fight me. But otherwise, they're all very good.
Darla
so
is the best.
Thank you.
Even though Abby won the poll.
We don't have to talk about that.
We don't talk about Abby?
That was a fluke.
I don't know. I think the OPAIs are pretty special.
Can't trust the AI to be honest about anything but AIs. Let's be real here. Okay, let's do this raffle. Let's do the first one for the ketchup pack. Wait, have we seen any tomatoes here today? Have we seen enough of those? Has everybody shown their interest, their excitement, their fervor? You're like, why is Ronan using so many words today? Do I have a thesaurus in front of me? Maybe. Maybe I do.
All right, and for those that need it, I've posted it over in main lobby media if you need to look at it again.
Excellent. Even the Grand Poobah himself is involved. It's a wonderful day. That you would take the time away from all the things that a Grand Poobah must do to share this moment with us.
All right, are we ready to click for a ketchup pack?
Now ready?
On your marks. Get set. Click. Remember, only click the pencil emoji. Oh, congratulations, Ace Access.
That's right. Remember, folks, if you're a winner of the skin pack, but you already have all of the skins, let me know, and I will make sure to get them to the right person of your choosing.
Toshi.
That's
an aggressive. That's an aggressive tomato, not an aggressive navel. Get it right, Toshi.
That's not aggressive, that's angry.
It's a sweat. Is that what's happening? A sweaty tomato? All right, let's do the next one. That's disturbing.
We don't, Scorpy. What's your inside scoop? Let us know. How's the magic gonna happen?
All right, everybody ready for clicking? On your mark, get set, click.
And by the way, these delays on particle loads and stuff, that's just part of the engine. Like, even in Ember, if we're playing in the editor, there's massive load up times for some of the stuff, but you don't see it in production builds.
Oh, look at that. Congratulations, Singo.
That's right. All right, one more kitchen. Let's do this last one.
Video memory has been exhausted. Expect extremely poor performance. You see that error message in the upper left? Why? It was running better than this before.
The equivalent of early access. So,
Yeah.
Unreal Engine 5 will be able to work.
It runs better than this, guys. I promise. We used too much of the editor. We were playing around too much. We broke something, and now it's running out of video card RAM. It's a bad situation for this game.
All right, let's ready. On your marks, get set. Select.
So, Scoopy or Scorpy, yeah, I know that there's ways to optimize all of this. And I said earlier in the beginning of the stream that what Epic does is they sort of like, they never really go for optimized performance on their demos. They go for more of what it could be. Oh, congratulations, Mist.
Missed one. More outfits. Now your digital closet will be super full.
That's right, Scorpy. Every tech demo aims to show what's possible, not for FPS. That is true. And that's why I said that Ember would, if we use the tech, it would have to be selective. You can't just do this. But you are going to see a bunch of people grab a bunch of assets and throw them together and make a quick video out of them and render it out. So the frame rate 60 FPS. You're going to see a lot of this stuff. Yeah, I'm not dissing on Unreal Engine 5. Don't get me wrong. I think that this is a tremendous technical accomplishment. I'm just pointing out, like, for us, the trade-offs we have to pay attention to, because we have to be even more conservative than other games because of the number, because we have massive battles on screen, right? We have 100 players versus a kaiju versus a massive invasion. We can't just go grabbing for the latest and greatest technologies just because they're awesome to look at. We have to be very careful about it. And again, there's a bug right now, some sort of memory leak or texture leak. We are using way too much texture RAM on the card, and it runs better than this. So no, don't. For those of you who came on stream at the end, you're like, oh, it's an Unreal 5 hater. I'm not hating on the engine. I'm just saying that there are trade-offs to be made. And for us, we want to have a lot of characters on the screen. We want to have terrain you can glide over really fast. And we want to have our download sizes be reasonable and our RAM sizes be reasonable to reach a lot of systems. Are we going to switch over to Unreal 5? Most likely, yes, because we don't have to use these new features, and we can take advantage of all the other optimizations and things they've done in the engine and continued bug fixes and things like that. All right, so again, thank you very much for joining us on stream. This has been a wonderful educational experience. There is a new glider demo out for Ember. Backers can go download that now right off the website. If you're not a backer yet, please consider becoming one as we ramp up to our Kickstarter demo and our Kickstarter this year. This was a view of the Unreal 5 engine and talking about the pros and cons and if it's right for Ember. I think that yes, it is a natural path for Ember, but don't expect anything to be built with Unreal 5 until after the Kickstarter. We're going to stick with Unreal 4.26 for now. We are going to do Unreal 5 tests. We will share those with you guys as well as our conclusions as we go along. Thanks again to the community staff for running this event and for running the raffles. Thanks to the developers who have worked so hard on the glider demo. And we will see you all next Tuesday on our next stream, hopefully with yet another tuning build. We're really dialing in our gliding. I also want to dial in our jetpacks. Leave us that feedback on the forum so we can see it. And don't forget to follow us on Twitch and join our Discord server. Thank you all, and take care.